Good afternoon, everyone. As we gather here today, let us remind ourselves of the quote that we cannot do everything, but we all can do something. And that is where true impact begins.
On behalf of the Setu team and the Little Scholars fraternity, we extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all distinguished schools participating today, to our respected teachers, and to our dear friends who have joined this orientation session of Setu 2025. This is Snehi Agrawal, joined by Sukhman Singh Sidhu and Swarnim Garola, and we'll be your host for this session. We'll guide you through this workshop.
We are glad to have all of you with us today and are especially honored by the presence of the visionary founder of Setu, Mr. Pankaj Bhalla, our honorable principal, Ms. Shikha Gautam, and our guiding light, Ms. Manjula Arora, along with our esteemed mentors who continue to steer this initiative with their expertise and insights.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's Swarnim Garola here. And Setu stands for social enterprise towards unified understanding and undertaking. But like the name, काम भी हम बड़े ही करते हैं. Each year, students of Little Scholars undertake this special drive to raise awareness and address critical issues related to Sustainable Development Goal (SDGs). Through Setu, students engage with peers of from neighboring schools, fostering a collaborative environment where young minds can discuss and devise solutions for global challenges such as poverty, education, and climate change.
This year's theme is Sustainable Development.
This initiative empowers.
This year's theme is Sustainable Development, balancing economic growth with environmental protection. It asks us to reflect how far we can progress without tipping the balance of the planet itself. At the heart of this year's junior exercise lies the energy, water, food nexus. Now, the word nexus does not always carry the most pleasant associations, yet we chose it deliberately. Why? Because it powerfully depicts the interconnectedness and interdependence of these three essentials. A nexus, at its core, is a point of connection, a place where different strands meet. That is exactly what food, water, and energy are. Three elements so bound together that no one can be managed without affecting the others. What happens in one area, say food production, inevitably affects water management and energy use, and vice versa. Sustainability cannot be achieved by treating them in isolation, but only by recognizing this tight web of connection.
And it is precisely this idea that frames the challenge for the grade 6 to 8 category. The focus will be on the patterns of food, water, and energy consumption in our daily lives. Students will analyze how much is used, where it comes from, and how it might be conserved. The challenge is to design modular household solutions, practical models that can adapt to different family sizes and social settings while reducing waste and maximizing efficiency.
And with this, it is now over to our student mentors who will take you further into the details of the exercise for the junior category.
So, greetings of the day, everyone. My name is Sarthak Singh, and today we are here to talk about something which is very universal. कुछ ऐसा जो हम रोज consume करते हैं, food. But today we are not just going to look at as a meal, केवल एक खाने की तरह नहीं, but as the central force, the beating heart of nexus. Now, food connects some of the most critical challenges of our time. कौन सा challenge are we talking about? The challenge that we are talking about is how to create a sustainable household, and we will understand how food can be our best tool, कैसे वो हमारा best weapon हो सकता है to create a sustainable household. So, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now we often think that the relationship is straightforward. We need water and energy to cook food. But ऐसा लगता है कि जैसे अगर आपको कुछ खाना बनाना है तो यू रिक्वायर फ्यूल चाहिए तो आपको एनर्जी चाहिए, या फिर अगर आपको कुछ उसे उबालना है तो यू रिक्वायर वाटर. सो द अजम्पशन दैट कैन बी क्रिएटेड कि food is directly dependent upon energy and energy and water. But let's think the reverse. When we will think, we will understand that the reverse is far more powerful. How? Let me tell you. जो आप राइस खाते हो, अगर आप आपकी प्लेट में, आपके घर में जब 1 kg राइस आता है, डू यू नो हाउ मच वाटर इज बीइंग कंज्यूम्ड इन इट? A total of thousands of liters of water is being consumed for transporting that water to your house. Now, here is another example. Our dietary choices are the single biggest driver of of water. You can imagine the numbers कि अगर एक इंसान कुछ खाना, एक फैमिली जो खाना खाती है, उनकी डाइटरी चॉइसेस पे डिपेंड करता है कि वो 8,000 लीटर्स ऑफ वाटर का कंजम्पशन पर डे कर रहे हैं या फिर 20,000 लीटर्स का कंजम्पशन पर डे कर रहे हैं. तो मीन्स जो वो खा रहे हैं, दैट विल कमांड द यूज ऑफ वाटर, and that's a massive volume of water for just one family per day. And now let's take example of energy, how food drives energy demand. Now, for instance, we can take those big massive cold storage chains and grinding of grains. जितने भी प्रोसेसेस लगते हैं टू कंज्यूम उस फूड को हमारे घर तक लाने में, उन सारे प्रोसेसेस बहुत ज्यादा इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंज्यूम होती है. तो हम लोग जो खाना खाते हैं उस पे हमारा वाटर भी डिपेंडेंट है और इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का कंजम्पशन भी. सो द कंक्लूजन इज क्लियर एंड पावरफुल. वी डोंट जस्ट कंज्यूम फूड, वी कंज्यूम द रिसोर्सेज एम्बेडेड विद इन इट. केवल वो उस एक रोटी या थोड़ी सी बची हुई सब्जी की बात नहीं है जो वेस्ट हो रही है, उसमें जितने रिसोर्सेज लगे हैं, दैट आर ऑल्सो बीइंग वेस्टेड. So we can say that our plate is the switch which joins the wires for a sustainable household. And our food is the foundation of that sustainable household. उस sustainable घर की नींव है हमारा खाना. But let's move to the next slide. Now we all have evolving preferences. Our preferences keep on evolving. जो हम खाना खाते हैं, ऐसा तो हो नहीं सकता कि एक पर्सन थ्रू आउट हिज लाइफ कीप्स ऑन ईटिंग द सेम फूड. हमेशा हर किसी के चेंज होते हैं. अब फॉर इंस्टेंस चेंज कब आ सकता है कि एक कोई सीजन चेंज हुआ, हम सीजन में कुछ क्रॉप वी कांट ग्रो दैट, सो वी आर ईटिंग सम ऑल्टरनेटिव टू दैट. और अनदर कुड बी दैट अगर आपका कोई रिचुअल या कुछ फेस्टिव सीजन आया कि इस फेस्टिव टाइम में हम यही खाते हैं, या फिर कुछ रिचुअल चला लाइक फास्टिंग इन मेनी कल्चर्स, सो उस पर डिपेंड करता है हम क्या खाना खाते हैं. एंड इफ अ पर्सन स्टार्ट्स फॉलोइंग सम मेडिकेशन, तो वो जो मेडिकेशन के अकॉर्डिंग भी उसकी डाइट चेंज होती है. सो आर प्रेफरेंसेस कीप ऑन इवॉल्विंग. हम जो खाना खाते हैं कांट नेवर बी द सेम. नाउ let's let's move on to the next slide. Next slide. So this is now let's talk about if our plate is the switch, then what is it switching on? And this brings us to our core concept, nutrition. Now, what is nutrition? Nutrition is the process of getting essential nutrients that are required by our body for growth, development, and overall health. Now, these nutrients are gained from food. तो हम जो खाना खा रहे हैं उस पर डिपेंड करता है हमें कैसे न्यूट्रिएंट्स मिलते हैं. बट इट डजंट मीन कि अगर हम ज्यादा खाना खाएंगे तो हमें ज्यादा न्यूट्रिएंट्स मिलेंगे. The basic idea behind nutrition is that we have to consume the right amount and right combination of nutrients to keep our body functioning. So let's move to the next slide. And this is where we face a profound challenge. Now, India faces a dual burden of both malnutrition and obesity. According to Indian Council of Medical Research, which provides guidelines for average daily calorie needs, a person who is not involving so much physical work like a sedentary Indian adult would only require 1,800 to 2,000 calories, while a moderately active Indian adult would require 2,400 to 2,008 calories. So we can say, depending on the lifestyle, that एक इंसान कितना खाना या एक फैमिली में टोटल कितना कंजम्पशन हो रहा है वो डिपेंड करेगा उनके लाइफस्टाइल. Now, here's a harsh reality that despite being an agrarian economy, 15% of India's population is undernourished. This is according to UN report 2023. Now, हम एक इतनी बड़ी एग्रीकल्चरल कंट्री है, बट स्टिल हमारी कंट्री में 15% लोग are going through undernourished, are undernourished. So that's a great problem. Now, taking more smaller scale, if we take example of Uttarakhand, where we have hilly terrain and we are reliant on rain-fed agriculture, so food insecurity can be a severe issue. Now we can see that there is a pie chart showing on that on the screen, but उस पाई चार्ट में दिख रहा है कि तीन कुछ है और उसमें कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स फैट्स एंड प्रोटीन्स एंड उन कार्बो वो जो पाई चार्ट है वो हमें ये नहीं बता रहा कि हमें क्या क्या कितना परसेंटेज में खाना है। द मेन आइडिया इज कि एक सही कॉम्बिनेशन में खाना है। अगर एक फैमिली सही कॉम्बिनेशन में अपनी कैलोरीज को इनटेक करेगी देन ओनली दे वुड बी नरिश्ड। सो लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। Now, this is where we are going to talk about first step towards sustainability. By field data, by understanding some field data, and उसके थ्रू हम लोग जाएंगे कि कैसे सस्टेनेबिलिटी की तरफ हम फर्स्ट स्टेप ले सकते हैं। तो हमारा फील्ड सर्वे जो हम करेंगे उसका अप्रोच क्या होगा? Our objective will be to find whether a person is undernourished, overnourished or well nourished. अब हम ऐसा क्यों करेंगे? क्योंकि जब हमें पता चलेगा कि हमारे आसपास की फैमिलीज वेल नरिश्ड अंडर नरिश्ड है, वेल नरिश्ड है या नहीं है, तो ही तो हम लोग पता कर पाएंगे कि क्या कमियां हमें पूरी करनी। So that's what we have to do. We have to do a survey. But before doing the survey, a question arises that how do I decide whether someone is well nourished or not? So this is where we all have to think of some parameters and factors that will help us to define how well a person is nourished. So this is our first work that पहले हमें ये पता करके आना है कि क्या पैरामीटर्स से हम डिसाइड करेंगे whether someone is well nourished or not nourished. We will discuss about them in the next session and उसके बाद हम लोग audit की बात करेंगे. So at last I would like to say that every time you sit down to eat, remember that your plate is a switch. With every bite, you are making a choice. So let's make our choices that nourish us without starving our planet. So now I would like to ask my co-partner to have some share some FAQs. And before that, if anybody else has some questions, you may ask. You can ask through chat box. Or, you all are free to ask your questions. If anybody has any query, you can ask. Uh, so I guess there are no questions. Now I would like Gitanshi to ask some to present some FAQs.
The frequently asked questions are: first, why does India face both malnutrition and obesity at the same time? Unequal food access, some lack nutritious food, and others rely on processed, calorie heavy diets. Second, what factors are checked to know if a person is well nourished? Answer is BMI, weight, diet variety, and nutrient intake. How can we design a future plate that is healthy and sustainable? By choosing local seasonal foods, less meat, and reducing waste. Thank you.
And I can see a question over there by Nidhi Gupta. How many families do we have to serve? So, firstly, we don't have to survey first. पहले हमें वो parameters and factors पता करके आने. We would be talking about survey and followings in the next session. आपको पहले next session तक ये पता करके आना है कि कैसे किन factors पे depend करेगा कि एक person एक family well nourished है या नहीं. क्या वो कितनी कैलोरीज इनटेक कर रहे हैं उन पे डिपेंड कर सकता है या फिर लाइफस्टाइल. सो इन दैट वे यू ऑल हैव टू थिंक अबाउट कि हम लोग क्या पैरामीटर्स रख सकते हैं. आवर ऑडिट इज नॉट अ फर्स्ट स्टेप. ऑडिट वी वुड बी टॉकिंग अबाउट इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन. So anybody else has any questions? So I don't see any questions. Now let's have Advait for water. Advait and fast for water.
जल है तो कल है, अगर जल नहीं तो जीवन भी नहीं. Hello everyone, my name is Agat Singh, and now let's talk about the vital need of humankind, that is water. The first issue is the depletion of fresh water. Water is the foundation of life, yet it is one of the most misused resources on our planet. Did you know that out of all the water available on Earth, only 2.5% of fresh water is there, and even most of it is locked away in glaciers and ice caps? That means the water we can actually use is very limited. Now, let's look at the challenges we face. Next slide, please. With rapid population growth, the demand for water keeps increasing. At the same time, groundwater is being over extracted for agriculture and urban use. Many rivers and lakes are drying up, and in several Indian states, the water table is also falling at alarming rates. This depletion not only threatens ecosystems but also human survival. Unless we act now, we are heading towards a severe water crisis. Next slide. So, क्या सिर्फ वाटर डिप्लेशन ही वाटर मिसयूज का एक मेजर रीजन है? Another challenge is water pollution. Our lakes and rivers are turning into dumping grounds. Industries release untreated sewage into water bodies, making them unsafe. Agricultural activities and pesticides into water, which causes eutrophication and contaminates drinking water. On top of that, plastics and solid wastes choke our water bodies, killing aquatic life. Polluted water doesn't harm the environment, it also poses severe threats to humans. Next slide, please. The third challenge we are facing is a combination of climate change and poor water management. Because of climate change, rainfall has become irregular. Some regions face droughts, while others face floods. Glaciers are melting faster, disturbing natural flows. Rapid urbanization has reduced open land for water to seep into the ground, so groundwater recharge is blocked. And of course, we see wastage of water in our homes, industries, and agriculture. These factors together makes water scarcity even worse. Next slide, please. So, how do we move forward? One effective way is conducting a water conservation audit. This means visiting villages and towns to observe their water saving methods, documenting traditional techniques, and interviewing people to understand their challenges. Then, comparing practices across regions help us identify the best ones. Finally, we will prepare a detailed report with solutions and recommendations. Such an audit will provide valuable insights and will help households and communities take informed action for sustainable water management. In the end, I would like to say that water is precious and irreplaceable. If we don't change the way we use and manage it, our survival will be at risk. But with awareness, conservation, and proper management, we can secure this resource for generations to come. Now, if anybody has any query, they may ask. Anybody has no query? Okay, so it is by first is by Ahna Adran. Okay. Are we expected to show how our solution reduces waste generation alongside resource conservation? Okay, it is a good point, but we think that firstly we should means like हमें पहले अपना household की practices को देखना होगा. वेस्ट जनरेशन हम उसके साथ में देख सकते हैं, बट पहले हमारा मेन टारगेट होगा कि एक हाउस होल्ड जो एक मतलब हमारा मॉड्यूलर होता है उसे हम कैसे मीन्स हम उसे कैसे यूज कर सकते हैं, उसे कैसे बनाएंगे, उसके साथ हम फिर उसे कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं. देन ओके, एनीबडी एल्स? Okay, so now FAQs will be taken up by my co-partner Faz.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Advait introduced me, I am Faz, and I will be sharing four most important FAQs that may be asked in Nexus related to water. The first FAQ is, how does saving water help in energy conservation? So first, pumping, treating, and distributing water resources require a lot of energy. But by reducing the uses of water, we can save energy there and the affiliated carbon emission. Second FAQ, how does climate change affect the role of water in access? So, it alters rainfall pattern, increases drought and floods, and disrupt water availability, directly impacting food production. Third, what strategies strengthen the water in the nexus? Rainwater harvesting, drip irrigation, wastewater, recycling, energy use, and integrated policy planning ensure balance among the three sectors. The fourth one, how does renewable energy support with water conservation? So, solar energy and wind power reduce dependence on thermal power, which require massive amount of water for cooling, thus saving water. Thank you.
Okay, now there is one more question by Ayushi Patel. Are there any recommended methodologies for evaluating households' energy? So I think it's better if it will be answered by the energy part, because our part is water. So I think it's better if the energy one will explain. Thank you. Now I am inviting Priyanshu for energy.
Yeah. So is the presentation visible to all? So after knowing much more about water and food, let's start with energy. Energy plays a very important role from our day-to-day life. And in this presentation, we will be knowing about energy, how can we, where we use energy, how can we minimize the consumption of energy, and at last we will have a case study. So let's start with energy. Energy is an entity which, though we cannot see, but plays a very important role in our day-to-day life. If we are doing something, then we consume energy. So energy is the ability to do work. It can either create heating effects or it can either create cold effects. So after knowing, let's take over that what are the forms of energy. There are various forms of energy like nuclear energy, hydro energy, electrical energy, and sound energy. And in this presentation, we will be talking about electrical energy. Why electrical energy? Because everyone can correlate with electrical energy. हम घरों में, even in conference halls, we are using electrical energy for either lighting the LEDs, fans, ACs. So electrical energy को हम अपने आप से कोरिलेट कर सकते हैं. दूसरा, किसी भी एनर्जी को we can convert any energy into electrical energy very easily. For example, पहले एलपीजी से खाना बनाया जाता था, लेकिन आजकल इंडक्शंस का यूज किया जा रहा है. तो इसमें जो एलपीजी से एनर्जी क्रिएट हो रही थी वो हमने इंडक्शन में हीटिंग इफेक्ट से क्रिएट करी है। तो every energy can be easily converted into electrical energy and we can easily correlate with it too. Next we have where we consume energy. We consume energy the most in our day to day life. हमेशा घर में बिजली के बिल की बात की जाती है, कभी पानी के बिल की बात नहीं की जाती, कभी जो गैस आ रही है घर में उसकी बात नहीं की जाती, हमेशा बिजली की बात की जाती है। तो हम सबसे ज्यादा इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी को ही कंज्यूम करते हैं। जैसे हैवी इलेक्ट्रिकल अप्लायंसेस होते हैं, एयर कंडीशनर्स, टीवीज और कूलर्स में। और अगर हम रात में हैं तो हम एलईडीज का यूज करेंगे, गर्मी लग रही है तो वी विल यूज फैंस। सो वी कंज्यूम इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी एट एवरी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। Next, we have how to minimize the uses of electricity. See, why we are minimizing it? Minimizing the consumption of electricity. It is to prevent the increase in global footprint. अगर हम एसीज का यूज कर रहे हैं तो एसी क्या करता है, वो गर्म हवा को बाहर छोड़ देगा और जो ठंडी हवा है उसको रूम में ट्रांसफर करता है। तो क्या हमारे एनवायरमेंट में गर्म हवा नहीं आ रही? इज इट नॉट कॉजिंग ह्यूमिडिटी? हम बैठे बैठे अगर पंखा नहीं है तो इज इट नॉट हमें स्वेटिंग नहीं हो रही? So this is because of the excess use of electrical energy, which is causing the increase in carbon footprint. Then how can we minimize? For example, if four people are sitting in a room, then four of them go, but one of them उसने जो इलेक्ट्रिकल स्विचेस थे उसको बंद नहीं किया, तो इसकी वजह से क्या हुआ, जो फैंस थे, एलईडीज थे, वो कीप ऑन वर्किंग में थे। इसकी वजह से उनका क्या हुआ, इलेक्ट्रिकल कंजप्शन ज्यादा हो गया और इट विल ओनली अफेक्ट अस। इट विल अफेक्ट दी जो हमारा इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का बिल होती है उसमें जो एक कंजप्शन रेट हम रखते हैं कि नहीं 2,000 रुपए तक ही करना है, 1,000 रुपए तक ही करना है, तो वो एक्सीड होगा अगर हम इस जो हमारी इस थिंग है कि हमको स्विच ऑफ करनी है लाइट्स और फैंस को, इसको अगर हम अपने अंदर इम्प्लीमेंट ना करें, इसको अगर हम इम्प्लीमेंट ना करें तो इलेक्ट्रिकल कंजप्शन जो है वो ऑटोमेटिकली इंक्रीज होगा। फिर हम कई बार देखते हैं कि लैपटॉप्स पे या फिर टीवीज पे हम उनको स्टैंड बाय पे रख देते हैं, वी कीप देम ऑन स्टैंड बाय। तो व्हाट हैपेंस, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ वी कंज्यूम ओनली 10 यूनिट्स ऑफ एनर्जी इन वन डे, सो in 100 units it decreases to 90 units. If we keep our laptops or TVs in standby, then what will happen, the processor inside the laptop will use the rest unit of energy. For example, if it was 90 units of energy left, then it might use 30 units of energy or 40 units of energy. Ultimately जो हम 9 दिन का काम 10 यूनिट्स में कर सकते थे वो अब कितने दिनों में होगा, 3 दिनों में होगा, 4 दिनों में होगा। तो इससे क्या हुआ, हमको वापस से उस लैपटॉप को चार्जिंग पे लगाना पड़ा। तो क्या हुआ, इससे हमारी जो यूनिट्स थी, हमारी एनर्जी बहुत ज्यादा वेस्ट हो गई। टीवीज में हम देखते हैं कि आफ्टर यूजिंग टीवी हम उनको इनफॉर्मली मतलब जो स्विच होता है ऑन ऑफ का उससे बंद कर देते हैं, लेकिन जो इलेक्ट्रिकल सप्लाई है उस टीवी में वो जारी रहती है। इसकी वजह से जो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी होती है वो हमारा टीवी कंज्यूम करता रहता है। तो इन छोटी छोटी आदतों से हम जो अपनी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का यूसेज को मिनिमाइज कर सकते हैं, अल्टीमेटली इट विल बेनिफिट ऑल ऑफ अस। एक तो ह्यूमिडिटी नहीं बढ़ेगी, दूसरा हमारा बिजली का बिल कम हो जाएगा। द मेन थिंग इज दैट। तो अगर हम इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को अच्छे से यूज करना सीख ले, अगर हम इन आदतों को यूज करना सीख ले, तो वी कैन ऑटोमेटिकली मिनिमाइज द यूजेस ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी। नेक्स्ट, we can use sensors to turn off the light if it is not required. For example, if we have Arduino sensors, then what the Arduino will do, it will detect whether someone is in the room or not, and it will give the point to the servo that switch off the fans and light. So servo will work and it will switch off the fans and light. So using sensors also we can minimize the uses of electricity. So next slide please. So if we divide energy, whether they can be measured or not measured, then we can divide energy in two forms, that is visible and non-visible energy. If we are doing something, if we are either walking, then we consume energy, but this energy cannot be measured, this energy cannot be rated, therefore this energy is called non-visible energy. ऐसी energies जिनको हम ना measure कर सकते हैं वो non-visible energies हो गई। फिर आता है हमारी visible energy। अगर हमने लैपटॉप को चार्जिंग पे लगाया तो हम देख सकते हैं कि हमारी जो लैपटॉप है उसमें कितनी एनर्जी बची है। जैसे 90% है तो 10% एनर्जी हमने यूज कर ली, तो हम मेजर कर सकते हैं कि कितनी एनर्जी हमने कंज्यूम करी और कितनी एनर्जी बची है। तो these types of energy which can be measured is called visible energies. Next slide. नेक्स्ट वी हैव ऑल्टरनेटिव्स टू डिक्रीज कार्बन एमिशन. अगर हम इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का बेसिकली यूज ना करके अगर हम सोलर पैनल्स को इंस्टॉल करें, विंड एनर्जी से विंड मिल से एनर्जी क्रिएट करें, तो इससे हमको ही फायदा होगा, क्योंकि हम कार्बन फुटप्रिंट इंक्रीज नहीं करेंगे, क्योंकि ये नेचुरल एनर्जीज है. इससे हमारा कार्बन फुटप्रिंट इंक्रीज नहीं होगा. तो दीज आर सम ऑल्टरनेटिव्स through which we can decrease the carbon emission, or these are some alternatives to create electrical energy. Next slide. Next, we come up with the case study. So, what is the objective of the audit? The objective is basically that how can we keep the electricity जो हमारा consumption है उसको हम कैसे एक minimum पर कैपिटा कंजप्शन के हिसाब से स्टोर कर सकते हैं. जैसे अगर हमने 90 यूनिट्स पर कैपिटा कंजप्शन सोच रखा है, तो हम 90 यूनिट्स पर कैपिटा कंजप्शन से इंक्रीज ना करें, क्योंकि इट विल ओनली अफेक्ट अस ओनली. It will not affect the electrical energy, it will only affect us. So the main objective of the audit is to see that whether people are using sufficient requirements for generating alternatives of energy, or if people are using their alternatives for creating electrical energy, and are they using some criteria so that they can minimize the carbon emission. So after knowing about objectives, we need to see some parameters क्या हो सकते हैं. सबसे पहले हमें ये देखना है कि उस फैमिली में कितने लोग रह रहे हैं. अगर 4 लोग रह रहे हैं, 6 लोग रह रहे हैं, तो जो पर कैपिटा कंजम्पशन है इट डिपेंड ऑन द नंबर ऑफ पीपल, कितने मेंबर्स रह रहे हैं. उसके बाद हमें ये देखना है कि उस घर में कितने हाई वोल्टेज अप्लायंसेस हैं. जैसे एयर कंडीशनर्स होंगे, कूलर्स होते हैं, टेलीविजन होते हैं. तो उसके बाद हमको ये भी देखना है कि एक घर में कितने इलेक्ट्रिकल अप्लायंसेस जो कि हाई वोल्टेज है वो यूज में है. फिर उसके बाद हमें ये देखना है कि कहीं उनके पास कोई ऑल्टरनेटिव्स नहीं है और जिससे वो एनर्जी को बना रहे, इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी फॉर्म कर रहे हैं. उसके बाद हमें ये भी देखना होगा कि क्या वो जो एनर्जी जनरेट कर रहे हैं वो एक पर कैपिटा कंजप्शन के हिसाब से सफिशिएंट है कि नहीं. अगर ज्यादा हो रही है तो हम कैसे उसको मिनिमाइज कर सकते हैं, और अगर मिनिमाइज करें तो अच्छा ही है. तो हमें ये भी देखना है. तो इस ऑडिट से हमारा मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव ये निकलेगा कि हमारा जो नेट जीरो, जो हमारा बिजली का आना और बिजली का जाना जो कि हम ग्रिड में भेजेंगे, अगर हमारे पास कोई वो है ऑल्टरनेटिव है, तो नेट जीरो, क्या हम नेट जीरो को फॉर्म कर रहे हैं या फिर नहीं कर रहे हैं. तो इस ऑडिट का ऑब्जेक्टिव बेसिकली यही रहेगा. So this is all for the presentation, and before moving I would like to say a few words that आपकी जो शेडो है वो आपका साथ रात को जरूर छोड़ देगी, लेकिन आपकी जो एनर्जी है वो आपका साथ 24 आवर्स तक रेगुलर देगी. तो बिफोर आफ्टर दिस आई वुड लाइक टू carry on with Anubhav to ask some FAQs. So do you have any doubts? Yeah, so energy saving in terms of environment benefits. Yeah.
So there is a question from Kavya Sharma. How can we decrease carbon emission using nuclear energy? So every energy has its pros and cons. Nuclear energy gives a lot of energy and does not release carbon emission, but is highly dangerous. So it decreases a lot of chances. It increases chances of deaths, but it decreases carbon emission. Next question is from Ayushi Patel. Should we should we quantify energy saving in terms of environmental benefit? Example, reduction in CO2 emission per household.
Quantify energy saving in terms of environment benefits. Yeah, if we quantify energy saving in terms of environment benefits, then it will only benefit us only. अगर आप कार्बन एमिशन को कम कर रहे हो, कार्बन फुटप्रिंट अपना कम कर रहे हो, तो इससे किसको फायदा होगा? हमें तो फायदा होगा. इलेक्ट्रिकल एनर्जी को थोड़ी ना फायदा होगा, या फिर हमारे आस पड़ोस के लोगों को. फायदा तो हमें होना है ना. और अपने फायदे के लिए अगर हम एक अच्छा स्टेप यूज कर रहे हैं, अगर हम एक अच्छा स्टेप इंप्लीमेंट कर रहे हैं, तो वी कैन यूज इट.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah, there is a question from Runa. We have to audit a real family, or we have to take an example. First, as Sarthak said, that we have to see some parameters, and then we will talk about audit. Then we will talk about audit in our next workshop.
Now we have another question.
Chinmay Sanwar.
How do we factor in the carbon cost of production for our for our components which may save some energy. That is, if we save 5 units of energy using some component, but it costs 10 units to make it. So this is a very good question. First of all, there is everything requires energy. So yes, it is possible, but it is highly unlikely to be done, because why would you even use it if you are saving 5 units of energy but giving 10 units of energy? So it's just not the idea. Next question is from Zara Hussain.
It's
How,
from
how do you plan to spread awareness about alternative used instead of electricity, even in small rural areas, to the people who are not literate enough? So we are going to conduct a survey on urban area or rural area. We will go to their houses and ask them questions related to the parameters, and then we'll be filling the form ourselves. Next question from Ahana Aradhna.
uh, should energy saving solution be evaluated on how affordable and accessible they are for families or different income groups? Yeah, that's a very good question. See, अगर हम alternatives लगा रहे हैं तो हमको सिर्फ वन टाइम उसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट करनी पड़ेगी. अगर हम 40,000 50,000 लगा रहे हैं वन टाइम इन्वेस्टमेंट में, तो जो अल्टरनेटिव्स है दे विल श्योरली गिव अस सम गुड बेनिफिट्स. वो हमारी जो इन्वेस्टमेंट थी उसको बेकार नहीं होने देंगे. सो वी कैन यूज सम ऑल्टरनेटिव्स, क्योंकि वो हमारी जो इन्वेस्टमेंट थी लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट या फिर जो हमने ज्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट करी है उसको कभी भी बेकार नहीं होने देंगे.
Okay, next question is from Rina. What parameters we have to consider to audit? Parameters like what is their family income, how many appliances they have. Like few people have just one TV, few people have three TVs, few people have one AC, few have three ACs. So depending on those factors, we'll be conducting an audit. Next question is from Zara Hussain. It is not possible to go to every house. How do you plan to do it at a national level? That's a very nice question. So for that, we have Google Forms, which we can supply throughout, and they can fill on themselves. Next from Manvi Goyal.
How is electricity essential for modern lifestyle? See, electricity is very essential. अगर हमारे घर में एक दिन के लिए भी बिजली नहीं आती तो क्या होता है? या तो इन्वर्टर यूज करते हैं हम. अब इन्वर्टर भी कब तक यूज करेगा? उसके अंदर भी तो कुछ स्टोर्ड एनर्जी है. इट ऑल्सो कंटेन्स स्टोर्ड एनर्जी. सो बेसिकली इफ देर इज नो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी तो मॉडर्न लाइफस्टाइल में बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स आ सकती है. जैसे अगर इन्वर्टर हमारा वर्क नहीं कर रहा है, उसकी सारी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी यूज हो चुकी है, तो क्या होगा? फैंस बंद हो जाएंगे, हमारी एलईडीज बंद हो जाएगी, तो उससे क्या होगा कि हमको ही प्रॉब्लम्स हो गई. तो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इसलिए एसेंशियल है मॉडर्न लाइफस्टाइल के लिए.
There are few more questions. Kavya Sharma said, but then what about illiterate ones? If we are using Google Forms, as I said before, we can go to rural areas and conduct a survey. Next is from Zara Hussain. Not everyone has a digital phones, though not nor a TV for them to watch news on. What about that? Yes, so even if they do not have a phone or a TV, they definitely have some electrical appliances like even gas induction cooker. Those appliances also release energy. We have to uh, go through a single them, and it's not like none of them have phone. Everyone has phone these days.
They might have Nokia phone.
Next is from Bhavya Arora. Many people like to use AC a lot. So how are we going to change their mindset and get a new cost effective option?
See, we are not saying people that don't use AC. हम ये कह रहे हैं कि जो उनका एसी का कंजप्शन है, अब जैसे मान लो 6 रूम्स हैं एक घर में, तो अब 6 के 6 में अगर ज्यादा वो रिच हैं तो 6 के 6 में वो एसी लगाएंगे जरूर. अब क्या ऐसा हो सकता है कि 4 लोगों के लिए 6 कमरे हैं, तो हमको ये भी मना नहीं कर सकते कि तुम 6 कमरों में मत रहो. प्राइवेसी है सबकी, वो अपने अपने कमरे चूज करके रह सकते हैं. तो जो लोग एसी बहुत ज्यादा यूज करते हैं, तो उनका क्या हम कर सकते हैं? जैसे कैप्टिव्स होते हैं, अगर हम सुबह के टाइम पे सोलर पैनल से एनर्जी जनरेट कर रहे हैं, तो सुबह के टाइम पर हम उसे एक बैटरी में स्टोर कर सकते हैं। जैसे जब इलेक्ट्रिसिटी आती है तो हम उसे अपने जो हमारा इन्वर्टर होता है उसमें स्टोर कर लेते हैं। वैसे ही सुबह के टाइम पे सोलर पैनल से जनरेट होने वाली एनर्जीज को हम अपनी बैटरीज में स्टोर कर सकते हैं। तो इससे क्या होगा, रात के टाइम पे अगर वो एसी चलाना चाहते हैं तो वो जो स्टोर्ड एनर्जी है, अपना मेन स्विच बंद करके अगर वो स्टोर्ड एनर्जी को यूज करे, तो इससे क्या उनका जो यूनिट्स ऑफ कंजप्शन है वो कम नहीं होगा, क्योंकि वो स्टोर्ड एनर्जी को यूज कर रहे हैं जो एक जो एक बायो एनर्जी है जो कि हमें सनलाइट से मिली है। तो इससे अगर वो एसी बहुत ज्यादा चलाना चाहते हैं, तो इस कैप्टिव के मेथड से हम उनका जो कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव ऑप्शन है जो एक कैप्टिव है, उससे हम उनका माइंडसेट चेंज कर सकते हैं, अगर हम इसके बारे में बताएं। So let's end this session about energy because we have to some other members also have to speak. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, our mentors. Now I would like to hand over to Sukhman and Snehi. Well, I think there is some network problem. Meanwhile, I can proceed. Thank you, team, for the explanation. With the explanation of 6 to 8 category now completed, we will take your questions and clarifications before we move further. And the question and answer is already going on with the comment sections. And secondly, now I would like to hand over to Steve.
So this year, our senior participants, that is grade 6 to 9 to 12 category, will engage with three challenging streams under the broad theme of sustainable development. The first stream is environmental justice, which is about writing a policy-oriented article that addresses equity in access to food, energy, climate protection, and natural resources. The second is empathetic economy, where students will propose economic models that align India's growth goals with long term ecological balance and responsible resource use.
And when the third stream is STEM. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics approach, which is very good, which is about creating conceptual or working models based on the idea of human energy as a renewable energy, connecting efforts, movement, and energy innovations. And but we know before that we have the this year themes for the 9 to 12 sustainable development, balancing economic growth with environmental protection. So Sukhman, go ahead.
These exercises are not just academic, they encourage our senior participants to link ideas with real world applications and propose solutions with tangible impact.
Well, now it's time. It's time for our mentors to take you through the details of outline for the grade 9 to 12th category. With the instincts and expertise, we now invite our mentors, Ms. Iqbal Luthra ma'am, Mr. Vikram Negi, to share the concepts of stream of environmental justice.
Thank you, Sukhman. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Iqbal Kaur Luthra, PGT History from Little Scholars Kashipur. Dear children, before we begin, I want you to think about one question. The question is, have you ever noticed that some areas in our town are much cleaner than others? Or have you noticed that some people enjoy better facilities while others struggle with pollution and waste? This difference is not by chance, it is an issue of environmental justice. And today we are going to discuss what it means, why it matters, and how it connects to our lives. To understand it better, let's begin with what environmental issue means. Environmental justice ensures fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of their background in environmental policy and governance. It looks at how environmental issue marginalized communities more severely, how it affects marginalized communities more severely. Now, let us see the key aspects of environmental justice. The first aspect is fair treatment. To address the need and concern of all communities, where no community should bear a larger share of pollution or lag behind to achieve environmental benefits. The second aspect is meaningful involvement, where everyone should have the right to participate in environmental decision making process. But environmental justice is more than just fair treatment and involvement. It's also about justice in distribution, process, and correction. Now you'll think, what is distributive justice? Means equal access to all resources such as clean air, clean water, etc. Next is procedural justice. It ensures transparency, access to information, and fair participation in decision making. And corrective justice means addressing past harms and providing remedies to communities affected by environmental damage. And here we cannot forget social justice, which links environmental well being with equality in society. So, environmental justice and social justice move hand in hand. A healthy society means everyone, rich or poor, has equal opportunity to thrive in a safe environment. Now, let's see how environmental justice is relevant in real life areas. We can take example of food security first. So it ensures poor communities are not left hungry or affected by unsustainable farming. Second is renewable energy. It makes sure clean energy is available for all without harming local communities. Next is climate change. It highlights that poor and coastal communities are the most vulnerable, and the resource extraction. It ensures communities are not exploited while industries gain profit. Next, to make more simple, let's look at some real world examples. Due to industrial pollution. Industrial pollution, these communities near factories often face health problems. Due to hazardous waste, poor and minority groups are often located near dumping sites, and due to climate change, farmers and local residents face higher risk, which includes displacement or resource scarcity, etc. Many communities still struggle to get safe drinking water. So, what is the ultimate aim of environmental justice? The ultimate goal is to create a society where everyone, regardless of background, enjoys environmental protection and well being. It's about empowering marginalized groups and making sure they have a voice in decision making. At last, I would state that environmental justice is not just about the environment, it is about fairness, equality, and human rights. If we want a sustainable future, we must show that no one is left behind in the fight for the cleaner and healthier world. So over to Vikram sir for FAQs session.
Good morning. Good afternoon to wonderful educators and participants. I am Vikram Negi. I am working as a TGT Social Science at Little Scholars. So in this session, I will be taking your questions regarding environmental justice. You can ask your queries, and if you want to write down in the chat box, you can write your questions there. So if you have any queries regarding environmental justice, you can write down your queries in the chat box, or you can directly ask the question. I think we don't have queries from our participants, so we will start with some of the most common frequently asked questions. The first question, which is often asked, is why is environmental justice important in the context of climate change? Because the communities that contribute the least to emissions, like farmers, coastal dwellers, and tribal groups, are often the ones most affected by floods, droughts, and rising sea levels. So, environmental justice advocates for giving them equal access to climate funds, adaptation strategies, and protective laws. One more frequently asked question could be, what role does environmental justice play in resource extraction? So we have large projects often displace indigenous and rural communities without proper compensations. Environmental justice demands free, prior, and informed consent of equitable benefit sharing and stronger rehabilitation and resettlement policies. Like if I talk about any example, we all know about a tragedy that occurred in 1984. I'm talking about Bhopal gas tragedy. So a gas leak at the Union Carbide pesticide plant released deadly methyl isocyanate gas. It impacted that over 3,000 people died immediately, and more than 5 lakh people suffered long-term health issues, including cancer, respiratory diseases, birth defects, and blindness. Victims, mostly poor slum dwellers near the plant, struggled for decades for fair compensation, adequate healthcare, and environmental cleanup. So we can see that the victims which are mostly affected by such environmental tragedies or natural disasters, these are the victims which are least to be blamed. They have nothing to do with the such project, and yet they have to face the worst consequences. So environmental justice advocates for such policies and environmental laws that protect such victims or such communities. Now I would like to request the moderator to take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Iqbal ma'am and Vikram sir, for clarifying the concept of this stream. With that, we now move ahead to the next category. We now invite our mentors, Ms. Anju Singhal and Ms. Harshita Bhatt, to present an overview of the stream, Empathetic Economy.
Thank you, Sukma. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Anju Singhal, PGT Economics Little Scholars. It's a pleasure to be here with such a bright young minds. I was just checking the chat box, which was filled with a lot of queries. Nice to see this. As today we gather here for an orientation session on a very meaningful and timely topic, the empathetic economy. Although prior to start with the session, I would like to share my screen just to be Sukman, just let me know whether it's visible to all. Uh,
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
so sorry for just give me a minute.
Sure.
Just a minute only. I just did. Again, I'm sharing the screen. Just please I suppose there's a certain network issues due to its showing. Is this visible better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much, Veda. As we all know that the Indian economy just stands as the fourth largest economy in the world, and it's a pride for us with the $4.7 trillion. And we are determined to become the third largest economy within this tenure. But while we dream to economic growth, we must pause and ask ourselves a very important question. Growth at what cost? What is empathetic economy? Basically, empathetic economy is one that does not measure the success by GDP alone. Instead, it measures success by how growth impact people, the planet, and future generation. It is about empathy. Empathy towards farmers who are struggling with unpredictable monsoons, empathy towards children who will inherit the earth, and empathy towards the environment, which gives us air, water, and food. Children, we have only one blue planet. The choice we make now, how we produce energy, how we grow food, and how we consume resources, will decide whether our development story is sustainable or destructive. Now, why there's a requirement of this theme, or you can say why this theme is so urgent today? Because climate change is no longer a distant threat. In 2024, global temperatures crossed the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold over pre-industrial level for the first time. Imagine melting permafrost releasing gases, the Amazon rainforest turning into a dry savanna, or the weakening of ocean currents that control our monsoon. For India, such changes could mean crop failures, water scarcity, and even rising poverty. Now, at the same time, technology is driving new demands. AI and advanced data centers, for example, could require 67 gigawatts of energy in the US alone by 2030. If such demands multiplies worldwide, we must ask, where will this energy come from? And how can we afford to meet it without destroying our ecosystem? Yes, so how do we move forward? What does an empathetic economy look like in practice? According to me, there are the four key pathways. The very first one we can say investing in renewable energy like solar, wind, and hydro that not only reduce emissions but also create millions of green jobs. Secondly, we can focus on the sustainable agriculture where we grow more foods with less water and fewer chemicals. Thirdly, building a circular economy where waste is not waste but a resource to be used and recycled, minimizing the strain on our limited resources. Now, here it is. We are now finally we have to be you, the student here, are not just participants in a panel discussion. You are future policymakers, entrepreneurs, and innovators. The decision you take tomorrow will shape India's path. Will it be a path of blind growth at the cost of our planet or a path of sustainable growth with empathy at its heart? Today's discussion is about reimagining India's growth story. Let us ensure that when India becomes the third largest economy, it is not only by the largest in GDP, but also a leader in responsibility, sustainability, and empathy. So now, this is the floor is open for your questions and queries. Is there any? Please feel free to share your thought. Just I pass over this the question answers for to Harshita ma'am.
Greetings of the day, everyone. I'm Harshita Bhatt. Okay, so the topic of the day is empathetic economy. If there is any question related to that, you can post those questions in the chat box. We will be taking the questions. Is there any question related to this?
I have a question.
Okay. Okay, so the question which I have, yes, here, someone has
Is this
joined?
idea somehow related to the inclusive growth?
Yes,
So
there is one
how
more.
does inclusive growth connect to empathy?
Okay, very good question. So, when we are talking about the inclusive growth, we have to ensure the marginalized communities, farmers, and the vulnerable population. So, the growth and the development is not only for the people or for the big countries, it is for the everyone, whether it's the environment or other species with whom we are sharing this planet. So, what by empathy and by the inclusive growth, we mean that we have to acknowledge and address the struggles within the economic planning. And when we are covering that, we are focusing on the poor section. So the one question is also over here where the participant has asked that how does the empathetic economy handle the poverty and the inequality? For that, I'm discussing an example of Japan with you. Okay. So in the Japan, what they have done, they have introduced the idea of the circular cities. So what are these cities about? A circular city is designed its economy so that resources are reused, recycled, and regenerated instead of getting waste. Most of you have heard about there is a town in the Japan. The name of the town is Kamikatsu. It is also known for the zero waste town. The resident of the town, what they are doing, they are separating the waste into the 45 different categories like paper, plastic, metals, and even the bottle caps. Okay, and what is the good thing about that initiative? The recycling rate are above the 18%. I hope all of you are familiar with the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. What they have done, they have made the medals out of entirely from the recycled smartphones, electronics, which was donated by the citizen. So when we are coming up with this method, what we are doing, we are this urban planning thing in the Japan, it promotes a compact cities where those people are choosing the efficient transport. Efficient, when we are talking about efficiency, we're talking about they are reducing the cost and they are also thinking about protecting the environment. They are producing the eco-friendly houses. The people are coming together and sharing the community resources, and this will also lead to the green jobs. What are the green jobs? The people where the people from the rural area, the women who are really connect with the nature, they come together and they share their view. And at the same time, there will be the various jobs to solve the problem. There are so many innovative startups we can also see. The entrepreneurs can also create the eco-friendly job. We can use the come up with the idea of the bioplastic composing solution. And all of you might have heard with the recent term that is also known as the recycled fashion. Is there any other query related to the topic? Okay, so there's one more important thing that I want to discuss with you related to this one, that why it is a high time. Why we this is the time we are linking the environment with the economy, because it is very important for us to understand, like Anju ma'am has already discussed earlier, that we are have a only single planet, blue planet, that is Earth. We are not having any substitute. Okay, so with these limited resources, what we have to do, we have to come up with the solution. So this discussion is all about thinking in a sustainable way so that we can come up with the ideas and can preserve our planet for the future generation. Is there any other query related to the topic?
Ma'am, I do have a query.
Yes, dear.
Ma'am, as you said that empathetic economy can handle poverty and equality. So
Okay.
handling poverty and equality starts when people start to culminate civic sense into their minds. How do you plan to spread awareness about civic sense to people?
Yes, for that, what the government need to take initiative, but here we can start at the individual level by organizing such session. What we can do, we can try to bring change for the future generation.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Any other question?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Ma'am, Ma'am, as you told that Japan has excelled in household energy efficiency, considering India's diverse climate and income levels, what key
Yes.
factors should guide us in creating a model suited to Indian household rather than just replicating Japan's approach?
Okay. Okay. As for that, we have to keep in mind the environment. Okay. Like you might have seen the disaster in 2013, we have observed in the Kedarnath. What happened over there? Only temple survived. Other than the other, all those infrastructure was developed, which was developed on the present basis. All those things was get destroyed. Okay. So while designing the infrastructure, we have to keep in mind the environment. If we are using the local goods, okay, then we will be able to maintain. You can take the example of a Ladakh, the kind of houses those people have created. Okay, so for if we want to make a house, if I want to construct a kitchen, for that I don't need to import Italian marble all the way from there. I need to look for the things which are available in our environment. You people might have seen there are so many examples related to this, so many eco-friendly house which are in the social media. People are creating those in the Bangalore. Okay, so for in those houses we can ignore using these ACs and all those things, and with that we can save our environment and we can also help our people to generate the economy.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other question?
Ma'am, I had a question.
Yes, yeah.
Uh, how can we factor in like global competition while we are considering our ecological goals? Like if other countries are not considering ecological goals, but we are considering them, how can we compete with them at a global scale?
Student, we need to understand the thing every time. Okay, there is, you people are the most of you are the student of economics, and you people have heard the opportunity cost. We need to identify this thing that we need to grow, but not at the cost of the environment. Okay, so we need to, it is a high time. As we can see, the global temperature is rising to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, so we are the future of this nation, and we have to take some initiative from our level, and we should come up with such platform like discussion. We can in future we can shape some policies, and we can bring a positive change in the society.
Thank
Okay,
you,
ma'am.
Harshita ma'am, and thank you,
Okay.
students. Let's continue with the other presentations. We are having another presentation starting now.
Okay,
So,
thank you, thank you, thank you.
moderators, please continue.
We sincerely thank Anju ma'am and Harshita ma'am for presenting the overview of the empathetic economy. At this point, we would like to hand it over to Lakshabis and Pankaj Malla sir, who will guide us through the approach for the stamp. So before we move towards it, we would like to play a small video for you all to watch.
What we need from you, if I may say that directly, is we need energy in all forms. Renewable, non-renewable, whatever. It needs to be there and it needs to be quickly. I and others are investing in things like fusion, which are incredible, but they're not going to arrive soon enough for the need. People are planning 10 gigawatt data centers. Now, just to do the translation, an average nuclear power plant in the United States is 1 gigawatt. How many nuclear power plants can we make in 1 year where we're planning this 10 gigawatt data center? Gives you a sense of how big this crisis is. Many people think that the demand of energy part that our industry takes will go from 3% to 99% of total generation. One of the estimates that I think is most likely is that data centers will require an additional 29 gigawatts of power by 2027 and 67 more gigawatts by 2030. Gives you a sense of the scale that we're talking. These things are industrial at a scale I have never seen in my life. In the terms of energy planning, the current model is mostly natural gas, peaker plants plus renewables, and that's probably going to be the path we're going to have to follow. We have a bunch of regulatory issues around fixing the energy grid. It takes, on average, 18 years to get the power transmissions and so forth to put these things in place. We need to find federal ways to preempt that and make it happen faster in order to deal with the needs.
With this, we can imagine the kind of energy crisis we would be facing. Even in India, very larger data centers are being planned to cater for the race of AI and economic supremacy. These large industry might be able to pay for the increased cost of this energy, while we, the common man, could be devoid. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Lakshya, and today I will be talking about STEM: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and how it shapes our world. STEM is not just a group of subjects we study in school, it is the backbone of innovation. Science helps us understand natural law. Technology applies that knowledge, engineering designs practical solution, and mathematics provide the logic and precision to make it all work together. Whenever these four fields combine, they create a solution that changes life. We can see STEM in action when we look at the human body and energy. We all know that human body is designed to perform activities throughout the day. Food is our main source of energy. And on an average, a person consumes about 2000 to 3000 calories every day. But here comes the important question. क्या ये सारी energy हम utilize कर पा रहे हैं? Are we really using all this energy, or is most of it going to waste? सोचने की बात है ना? If we look back in history, before the Industrial Revolution, human beings were main source of power. People worked in farm, carried heavy loads, walked for miles, and performed household chores by hand. In that time, the calories they consumed were fully utilized. Every single meal they ate was converted into physical labor and survival. But the 17th century brought the Industrial Revolution, and this changed everything. Machine powered by coals, steam, and later electricity took over human efforts. Trains, cars, and airplanes replaced long walks. Factories replaced hand weaving, washing machine, elevator, and gadgets reduced even our household chores. However, one thing that did not change was our diet. We still ate the same amount or even more calories because agriculture and industry made our food easily available. This created a major imbalance in our body. Our body kept consuming energy, but our lifestyle stopped spending it. The result: billions of calories remain unspent every single day. This unused energy is stored as fat and has given rise to lifestyle diseases such as obesity, diabetes, and hypertension. ये हम सब के लिए एक warning है. In short, इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन के बाद ह्यूमन एनर्जी यूटिलाइज होने की जगह धीरे धीरे खत्म होने लगी. But here's the interesting part. This wasted energy can actually be captured. Let's take example of a gym. Every day, people run on treadmill, cycle on stationary bike, or lift heavy weights. All of this require energy. But once the workout is over, it all vanishes into heat and sweat. Think, अगर ये एनर्जी हम किसी तरह यूज कर सके तो कितना फायदा होगा. Imagine if every treadmill or weight machine was connected to a generator. As people worked out, their energy could be stored in batteries and used to power gym's light or air circulation system. The energy that was earlier wasted would now become useful. And it's not just limited to gym. In our daily routine too, human energy can be recycled. There are power banks that can be charged simply by shaking them. The motion of our hands gets converted into electricity that can power small devices. There are wristwatches that never need a battery because they charge themselves through the natural movement of our hand and wrist. Even staircases can be designed so that each step compresses of a small spring or gear, generating usable energy. The idea is simple. We are already spending energy every single day. With STEM-based innovation, we can design system to reuse that energy instead of letting it disappear. यानी कि हमारी daily activities भी energy का source बन सकती हैं. Isn't that great? The idea is simple. To conclude, the human body is not just consumer of energy, but also a potential generator of energy. For centuries, this energy has been wasted, especially after the Industrial Revolution. But with modern STEM innovation, we have the power to capture it once again. If implemented widely, these solutions could reduce our dependence on non-renewable resources and turns India's massive population into an opportunity for clean and green energy. Thank you.
Okay, so now we would like to take the questions related to STEM. So if you guys have any questions, you can go ahead. I repeat, do we have any questions related to STEM? Any questions on the floor? Okay, now we would like to, now Bhala sir would like to take over this meeting. Bhala sir, towards you.
Am I audible? Hello, am I
Yes, sir.
audible? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, you are
So,
audible.
hi everybody. This has been a very interesting first day where we just kind of introduced this complete program. I'm sure there are a lot of things which will be which you would have as questions, as and unanswered in some places and answered in some places. You might be having a lot of ideas in mind, and I'm sure that we've been answering. I think the team has been answering a lot of questions. I've seen in the chat box, which is quite interesting, many questions which were which had a um, lot of information, which and it showed a lot of interest in many of you participants. So we have a lot of things ahead for us. Just this step, I'd like to add on in this a little. Um, the idea behind introducing human energy, or we could say energy which is unspent or unused, is what we are looking at. So it was just an idea. It is a thought process, and why not? Why not work with something like this when uh, we need to look for all the possible resources? We are consuming carbon. We are generating energy within ourselves, and but unfortunately, we've not been able to harness it in some way or the other, or we have been in certain places, but mm, not not in totality. Or I mean, it's just not even at the threshold as yet. There are talks in the corridors of the IITs about not only nano but plateau energies being and how to harness it. You have things wherein people are putting in chips into your body, which help allow various things through AI, being wherein your doctors can assess you, and those energies are generated by your human body, the human body itself. There's certain places and many places where you can understand how human energies can be utilized. Yes, with our little knowledge or whatever we know through our years of studying and learning about motion and various other factors dependent on energy and the utilization of energy in terms of how motion can be utilized. So herein we've got this particular project, which basically through STEM we can identify certain places wherein energies have been left unused. Yeah, we can talk about solar and wind and all that, but herein specifically, we are working on energy unspent in the human body, or it could be anything with maybe the lady of the house sitting at home, she's done her work and now she's doing her exercises while a lot of other things are happening. So maybe she's doing her exercise, and that same exercise is generating energy enough for a vacuum cleaner which is running automatically. So these are small little things which can be which can be harnessed. How we can harness it is when you use uh, your ideas, your mind, and your energies are spent thinking about how we can bring about a change. This is a step forward in trying to be sustainable in all matters, which is when it comes to the earlier portion when we talk about how modular house could be a self-sustaining house, considering the amount of nutrition you can generate for your own self to the amount of water that you are going to be consuming. And if you are consuming, then how much are you consuming, and how much are you releasing into the soil nearby, or the drain nearby, and how you can harness your energies, which maybe you have on your rooftop, or any other way which you can think relevant. This was only sometimes I think the conversation was about how electrical energy. So limiting ourselves again here, and like earlier we were limiting ourselves to human energies. Here we are limiting ourselves to electrical energies, because there obviously will it would become rather big. The complete project would become rather big, and we might be digressing from the topic at times. So, considering ourselves to be limiting ourselves within the modular unit, or the house, or the dwelling unit, it could be a flat wherein you could have community living, where it could be you could be planning a plan that plan could fit anywhere. The idea behind that is the plan could fit anywhere. Similarly, when it came down to empathetic economy, some people ask me, what is empathetic economy? How is it going to help? The idea behind the word empathy itself um, shares a lot of ideas, and how we can work towards being more when the idea of the realization of how, if I were to move ahead, would I be pressing somebody else down, is when we start thinking, and we say, when I get what I have, suppose I can use 10 ACs in my house, but the other person does not have enough electricity, because I can pay for it, but the other person can't. So minimum utilization would be obviously preferred, because whatever is available is what can be used. So very well explained by many of our eminent panelists who explained everything, the mentors which are there, and also about how we could work on what kind of norms we could introduce, or mm, what kind of change in our laws, or our governings we can introduce, so as to understand about understanding environmental justice, and suggesting amendments and policies in our governance. So we could be taking up any particular amendment. Suppose, let's give an example. Take an example. If we are amending a policy, suppose we are we're introducing a cess um, green cess. Suppose we've introduced, this was for empathetic economy. If we're using that green cess, am I only buying that green cess because I've used it? Um, that green cess has been used for the purpose of, because somebody is emitting pollution. If the person is emitting pollution, or increasing the carbon footprint, is it only payable, or is it punishable? Would you want to work towards payable or punishable? Somebody takes up all your the amount of energy, that the carbon that can be used, and you don't have enough. So would that be correct? Would that be just? So looking into various uh, things on environmental justice, and then again, like Gandhi said, the world has enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. So that itself derives a lot of understanding. So thank you everybody for listening to me, and I would like to hand it over back to the team, so that we can maybe conclude this event, this day. Thank you.
Okay, so now do we have any questions? Okay, so now I would like to hand over to Sukhman and Snehi. Okay, so thank you, Pankaj sir, for taking us through the approach of STEM stream. That concludes for introduction for the senior category as well. We now address any question or doubt you may have before we move towards the conclusion. Seeing none, I would like to hand over the meeting to Snehi.
As we conclude today's orientation, let us briefly remind you of the journey ahead. In the coming weeks, there will be a series of online workshops, and the schedule will be sent to you via WhatsApp. There will be eminent resource persons who will be guide you in shaping your projects.
All these efforts will culminate in the final event on 4th of October 2025 at Little Scholars Kashipur, where students will present their work and will be assessed accordingly.
And for any queries regarding category 6 to 8, you may reach out to the student team, Sarthak Singh, Priyanshu Joshi, Advait Singh, Lakshya and who are already the part of the WhatsApp group, and we will be happy to assist you. For guidance on the stream of the grade 9 to 12th category, please feel free to connect with Vikram sir, Harshita ma'am, and Anju ma'am. For the respective streams who are also added there for the ease of communications, we will soon share you the all the contact details on the respective WhatsApp group.
We thank you all for joining us today and look forward to meaningful participation from each school. This initiative empowers students to think critically, act locally, and strengthens community bonds through a shared platform for dialogue and action.
Let us leave today not just with conclusions, but also with commitments. Commitments to try, to learn, and to do better. May this journey of Setu 2025 be about taking that step towards sustainability together. Thank you, everybody. The next session and the details will be coordinated through the WhatsApp group for Setu 2025. And that's it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, everybody. We will see you soon. Bye.